Hey everybody, video here for you today. We're going to look at some ruins in Peru right down here. This is the Sechin region. I know Matt from Ancient Architects covered a site down here. I think that was last winter. And then there's a channel called History with Kaylee. She covered some ruins down here, did a good job. I will leave a link for her channel below. A few of these ruins I have never talked about. A few of these I have. First, let's go down to Chankillo, right down here, an ancient observatory. There is two different sites. There is one right down here. Seems a double-walled structure, maybe even three. And then this in the middle here. Let's just go down and take a quick look at these ruins. Here is a look at the ruins of Chankillo, at least this area here, the walls, this inner temple or observatory right there. But that is looking at a site right down here. Let's just go down. There is a structure down here with 13 towers, and they think this is just for tracking the sun. You are looking east here, so this probably tracks the sunrise over the course of the year from solstice to solstice. That is the way it looks to everybody who researches this place. Chankillo has been in the news recently. Here's a story from recent times. Ancient Peruvian solar observatory at 2,300 years is declared a UN heritage site. Peru added its 13th site to the World Heritage List after UNESCO decided to include the Chankillo Archaeo-Astronomical Complex, the oldest solar observatory and ceremonial center in the Americas. And I suppose there could be some debate about that, but there is that structure we just looked at. Here it is from a distance. Here it is up on the hill, and then the 13 towers right there in the foreground. I will leave this link below. But there is a look at Chankillo on Google Earth. Now let's take a look at some other ruins in the nearby area. You notice there is some ruins right off of the 13 towers there. Maybe that is where they observed the sun from, right there. That's just a guess. But let's just go to a site that History with Kaylee, her channel, talked about. These ruins down here briefly. This really surprised me down here. There is a massive ruin of a pyramid down here, and it's called Sechin Alto, right down here. This was maybe 100 feet high at one time. It doesn't come up to a true point like the classic Egyptian pyramids, but that is a massive ruin there. How big is this? It is about a little over 300 meters across, or about 1,000 feet in base length. So that has a larger base than the Great Pyramid. There is some other ruins down here. This was an ancient city thousands of years ago. Ancient ruins are pretty cool down here in Peru. Here is a look at a carving found at Sechin Alto, and a lot of these pics, it's kind of confusing which site they exactly come from. But here is a facing of the Sechin Alto pyramid faced with 2-ton granite blocks. But that seems to be kind of an unknown, mysterious pyramid, and a very large one. Let's talk about these down here. There is a place called Pampa de Llamas right down here. There is the ancient ruin right there. But this was part of a major complex down here. There is the ruins of Pampa de Llamas right there. We'll take a look at that real quickly here. I think we can get down here on Google Earth. But this is a very ancient place, a lot of separate rooms, just lying in ruins here. But this is just one structure in this ancient city here. There is a pretty good sized pyramid ruin here that has a real cool story attached to it. But let's just back out here. You can get an idea of the ancient ruins here around this city. This ancient city here. You can get a look at the ancient ruins all the way through here. But let's just go to this structure right down here. This is called Mojeque, something like that. There's a couple different spellings to it, but this has a very fascinating story to it. This was researched by an archaeologist in 1937. Let's just go over to a few pics. Here is one video on YouTube. It's only 43 seconds long, but you can see the Pampa de Llamas right there. And then the Mojeque pyramid right there. So they are definitely aligned and part of the same complex. Now looking at the Mojeque pyramid from overhead on Google Earth, you wouldn't think it was really anything too special, but it is pretty good size. And here is a look at the Pampa de Llamas ruins that I just showed you. but this is about 175 meters across, about 575 feet, so it is pretty good sized. Let's take a look at what this used to look like. Now here is an artist's model or reconstruction of what they think this pyramid looked like, a central stairway, pretty elaborately built. And then right in here there was a set of statues. A guy by the name of Julio Telo did the archaeological work here in 1937. Let's just go over to that story. Here's the story from 2014, just not a lot written on this place, the decapitated statues of Moxeque. It says, in 1937, archaeological expedition led by Julio Cesar Tello arrived at the Casma Valley in Ancash to study various groups of ancient ruins that were at risk from agricultural expansion. There, next to the fields, he concentrated on what at first glance was a large mound of stones and mud that the local ranchers wanted to remove to gain new land. Tello and his team, with a trained eye on these matters, knew that this was not a natural mound. They began to excavate and found a 3,500-year-old step pyramid. Around one of its steps, embedded in stone niches, appeared immense statues of clay figures whose heads, if they ever had them, had been destroyed in ancient times. And there is one of these immense statues in the niches. 4 serpents coming down with their tongues sticking out, it looks like. But that is a very cool pic coming from 1937, some lost history there. Just reading below the pic, it says, Tello with one of Moxeque's statues. It is a torso of a character with a tunic and 4 snakes on it. The archaeologists believe that this place was related to Chavandiwantar, coming from about 1000 BC, but this place proved to be about 8 centuries older. But just going down here and reading, it said, but what happened with the clay statues of Moxeque? Why haven't we seen modern photos of them? Well, Tello ordered his team to bury them again as carefully as possible before leaving. He understood that if he left them uncovered in the open in the middle of an agricultural area exposed to humidity, and without the possibility of putting a caretaker to care for them, the statues would disintegrate in a few years, like so many of the other mud constructions in the world, and there they remain hidden to this day. Now here down below are the images that Tello drew in 1937. The box indicates where on the pyramid that these massive clay depictions were presented. Here are some of the drawings Tello made in 1937. The first 2 are just torsos. This comes from about 3,800 years ago, same time as maybe the 16th, 17th dynasty of Egypt. It says drawings by the Tello team of some of the Moxeque images. The first 2 are character torsos. The third is a giant face. It is known that the lines under the eyes were originally red, and that comes from Tello's drawings when he was here in 1937. So we know right down here, today still, there are some depictions, some massive clay depictions, some of them without the heads. Here with the serpent on it, found in 1937, still under this mound of probably what appears to be just rubble, still here today. That is a pyramid I have never covered in Peru. Looks pretty interesting based on this reconstruction model. Here is the outside of these ruins today, some dimples there. Here is some of the stonework coming from that ruin. Very interesting. Peru has just tons of ruins. I know Ben and Jimmy and Brian are down there investigating stuff. But those are some ruins of the Sechin area. There is some I did not talk about. I will leave the link to Kaylee's channel below. She did a story on this not too long ago. But that is ancient Peru. Hope you thought that was interesting, and you all have a very nice day.